Welcome to the Moment Soul to Experience show. We're back for Saturday, February 11th, 2023. We're back here. It's really crazy morning so far. We had an interview scheduled that was rescheduled. Now we have our next guest here. She is a financial analyst. She is a problem solver, a game changer, a leader for the community, trying to help families and people be more financially stable and financially progressive. So I want to give it up to Miss, I want to say it's right, Apris Walker.
Hey, good afternoon. How are you?
Good yourself. How are you? How was your week?
My week was great. It went by fast. I'm assuming yours probably did too, but I'm here, so all is well.
Yes, all is well. It kind of went by slow because maybe the Super Bowls we managed to get the game get over with, but it went by kind of slow. But we made it through.
Okay.
Just trying to navigate one day at a time and just count our blessings and be thankful for what God's blessed us with. So in these times, but in the end, all is well. We count all joy and things like that.
Absolutely.
So your purpose is to empower. Your mission is to empower and so families to become properly protected, debt free, and financially independent. So before we get into that, why you decided to do that? Why is that your life work and mission? Who was Apris Walker growing up?
Definitely just a ball of energy. Was always rocking to the beat of my own drum. I can just remembering even as a small child, just smiling, joyful, positive, happy. And really what I remember most, I don't necessarily remember um, you know, being around a lot of children, and just but always being myself, and like I said, literally just kind of walking to the beat of my own drum.
Okay, that sounds good. So as you got older and now that's down to the work you're doing right now, what drew you to doing the work that you're doing, to your mission right now? What drew you to that, and what was the reason why?
So I think that's a great question. So you asked me the question about being as a child, and I have a picture. I think I was like 4 or 5, in daycare. Well, I had to be about 3 or 4 in daycare. It was like career day, and I had something had a camera around my neck, and it said that I would be a reporter. So as I got older, it's time to transition to college. I always knew, like, okay, I either want to be a news reporter or I wanted to be a therapist. So when it came time to make the decision, I decided to go to undergraduate school for communications media. I graduated from Indiana University of Pennsylvania. Did some work on the radio station there, the news station. And then I had an internship at Channel 3 here in Philadelphia for a couple years. So definitely was going to take that news reporting route. And then life happened. So I decided to go back to school. I have my master's in psychology. And I spent a lot of years as a therapist, just working with our children in the community, in the schools, community centers, doing therapy, homeschool and community setting. Just trying to help our children uncover layers and be their best selves. So I say all of that the lead up because I've always been passionate about helping people, connecting with people, communicating with people, and just really empowering people to see what I see in them that they might not necessarily see at that time. So back in 2018, I was 7 months pregnant with my son. I have 2 children. And because I was working as an independent contractor, as a therapist, I was not going to be getting paid. So I said, well, what can I do to still be able to make an impact, but also still be able to make a living? And I find that, and we see it, of course, working in the inner city, you see that we, as a poverty stricken community, and I think that in our communities and in the city, we put a lot of band-aids on things, right? But a lot of it boils down to the lack of financial literacy and the lack of financial education. Because as we know, within the Black community, we have a lot of buying power, and it's not necessarily a scarcity of money, but people don't know what to do with the money. So this opportunity was presented to me to be able to get licensing in the financial services field. And I completely took a hold of it. I thought it was going to be something short term, part time while I was out on maternity leave, but I actually end up falling in love with it, because it, for me, it allowed me to help people on the foundational level. Whether we want to acknowledge it or not, finances play a big role in individuals' lives, community impact, as well as the world. So that's what really drew me into this space. I was looking for an extension to still be able to help people. And then this opportunity fell in my lap. And this is what I've been doing now for going on the last almost 5 years.
Wow, wow. That's a whole lot. And first, I want to thank you for being an advocate for mental health, especially young people at that time. I've been trying to get you to get spaces, try to uncover those traumas and things like that. We thank you for that, because that now mental health is the core thing for everything, and affects what decisions people make every single day, especially financially. So, and then you transition to financial literacy, which is another big topic that sadly our people don't know about.
Right.
They don't have conversations about, and how to start on that journey. So can you tell us what your typical day is like, since you've been doing it for 5 years?
Yeah, so it's just a matter of me connecting with individuals. Like, I know me and you met at a networking event, like, as far as businesses and having a platform to speak to the community, because, unfortunately, people don't seek out financial literacy, and people don't necessarily, and I won't say people as a whole, but a large portion of our people do not necessarily seek out financial education and financial literacy. We're so used to being the spenders, and the borrowers, and not necessarily the savers, the investors, the lenders. So my day to day is just making sure that I'm communicating with people, talking to everybody I can about what I do and how I can be impactful for them. In the beginning, you said something very significant. You talked about me solving a problem. And that's what I do for people. I help them solve problems, because a lot of times people think that financial freedom and financial independence is not obtainable for them. So I'm here to really educate the masses and solve the problem that financial education does not have to be complicated. It does not have to be expensive. It does not have to be a long, drawn out process. So my everyday to day, as a business owner, entrepreneur, it can look different, but at the core of it is just making sure that I'm communicating with people, to be able to connect with people so that I can get this information and education out to the masses.
Yes, and you spoke about the event that we met. I think we met at Stevie's event, the conference in the summertime.
Yes.
5 minutes and I left. Had an event to do. Does your work, you said financial literacy, does your work that you do now allow you to go to schools and teach kids about financial literacy as well, or that's maybe something that you want to do down the line?
Yeah, so I mean, it's always open. Like, anytime somebody invites me to their platform, like I'm doing a free actual financial literacy event for the children in a couple months, and it's not going to be at a school. It's actually going to be at a community center. So I can send that flyer to you if you want to pass it on, and it's free for children. So any platform and I actually did that event for you this summer, where I came in. And
oh yeah, you did.
Yep,
So
yep.
I totally apologize. I totally forgot. You came to everyone Friday. I do remember that. It was a
Yep,
lot
and
going
spoke
on.
to the children
I
about the
didn't,
financial
I didn't
literacy.
even I apologize. I didn't even acknowledge you for thank you. I think I did, but I don't remember. But I thank you so much for doing that because we want to do that for as well because we work in schools now, pedagogics. We are trying to get more our kids to understand what's going on, at least introduce them to what's going on. Like I said, I'm not an expert. You're more thorough than us in that. So we're fifth graders right now at Webster. So this is the school K to fifth grade and transition to sixth grade. We are planning to do um, a major like kickoff sixth grade form for the parents and the students in June. So I would love you to be part of that. So we can help those parents in those poor communities in Frankfurt be more financially stable or more financially capable of saving money to upgrade. So it's not like we do a bad job, but sometimes we're not aware the knowledge of how we can do that. So
Mhm.
I definitely want you on board for that. So we got some stuff lined up. I'll definitely that keep me in spin because our kids need to know what's going on because we was elementary school, middle high school. No one can talk about financial literacy. We had to
Right.
find out at college for a workshop or somewhere as we got older. So we trying to teach our young people what financial literacy is now, and is that how it can work for them while they are young and while they still developing as young people.
And I think that you said something significant. It's important for the kids, but I love that you're bringing the parents in because students or children are going to model what they see,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we're just a little imprint in their lives, but if we can really get into like the parents and talking to them, and giving them the education and the resources so that they can actually model for their children what are good spending habits, keeping a budget, making sure that we're investing in a proper resources, making sure that we have life insurance, and really talking about generational wealth. Because I know as a community we want it, but unfortunately we don't seek it out as much as we seek out other things. Like, because we can, I think it's just time for us to put the excuses on the shelf, and actually really take action. Because if we want to know something or we want to attend something, we'll jump through hoops and bounds to find it. But we've just really become complacent. And I'm pretty sure it has to do a generational, different things like that. But we really got to take back our power. And a way that we're really going to do that is financial infrastructures.
Yes, especially. Oh, excuse me. I'm sorry. Especially at times, especially at time we're living in, we got like budgeting and people want to take vacations and people want to go way out for their child's birthday every
That
year.
part. Yeah.
So, but growing up, it was like you only did that for milestone birthdays, like you 16, 18, 13. But now they want to go way out every year. I'm like, okay, let's kids work. I'm like, okay, I'm appreciate it, but you can downscale a little bit to get a child that experience. You don't have to be grind and shut the block down. You know what I mean? Every year. So
Mhm.
so I think that's so important. And also you mentioned about life insurance. That is so key. A lot of people not aware of life insurance and the important let's say of you needing that, especially because life happens and someone unexpectedly dies and you don't have life insurance. And
Mhm.
you posted something about a couple weeks ago about how you got family's life insurance right. I might be wrong, right on time before someone family died. Can you elaborate more about that?
I mean, so that happens. Like and it's funny. Like life happens, right? Unfortunately, people think like, and I don't know why it's so taboo in the Black and Brown community, but we don't want to talk about life insurance.
Mm,
And again, a part of that is systemic, but we have to break out of it. Because what I will say is, and a lot of people don't know this, but we were kept initially from buying life insurance because other communities use it as a generational wealth tool. Then when we were able to start buying life insurance, they were only allowing us to buy $10,000 policies, something very minimal just to get us in the ground. So I have to first talk about what life insurance does. If someone depends on your income to survive, you need life insurance. If you have a significant other, they're expecting your half of the rent, your half of the mortgage, your half of the utilities. And let me ask you, God forbid something happens to a breadwinner, would that family still be getting their paycheck?
No, I mean, so
No, the paycheck stops, right? So if you were used to a breadwinner contributing their paycheck while they were here, you need life insurance and enough life insurance to make sure that when they die, you don't have any financial disruption. For so long, we've been only sold burial policies. And I'm pretty sure you remember back in the day, our parents, grandparents, aunties, the insurance man used to knock on the door, sell us these bogus policies for only about $10,000. But that's just enough to get in the ground. What happens to the family that's left behind? So I teach people how to have enough life insurance so that God forbid something happened to you, your family would be okay financially for at least the next 10 years. We have so many traumas on a financial level and we don't even realize it. In our community, we can't take off to mourn the death of a loved one. Why? Because we got to go right back to work so that we can get that paycheck. If people had proper life insurance and enough life insurance, they would be able to take bereavement time without having to worry about finances. And the thing that I love that I do, and again, it's like, information is kept from us intentionally, and then distorted information is pumped to us. We think that life insurance has to be expensive, and it does not. But because a lot of our people have the wrong type of life insurance, they are overpaying for a little bit of coverage. So I'm here to tell you, if you have a pulse, you need life insurance. If you have a significant other, you need life insurance. If you have children, you need life insurance. If someone is depending on you financially, you need life insurance. Why? To make sure that your family does not have a financial disruption, God forbid, if you were not here. And the question you asked in the beginning, people think, well, I'll get life insurance when I'm older. Life insurance becomes more expensive the older that you are. And depending on some medical issues, you might not even qualify for life insurance. And of course, anybody can develop a health issue, but the chances of a younger person or older person, usually the older person has the health issues. So you want to get life insurance the youngest and the healthier you are, because no one knows their date of death and no one knows their date of sickness. And you definitely do not want to leave your family in a financial rut.
wow, that was well, I got a couple of questions from that. So it's kind of like a multi-fold question. I want to ask, first of all, can a young person, maybe 18 years old or 17 years old, get life insurance even if they're not married yet or even started a family yet? So can they start on that path? Number two, how does life insurance works? Once they sign up, how does it work if, God forbid, someone dies? Like, how they obtain the money to get the funds they need for their funeral, their services, bills. How does that whole process work?
Great question. So, a person 18 years of older can get their own life insurance that they own and control. Okay, so that they own and control it. Control it. I'm sorry. A person under the age of 18, they would be basically like on a child rider that their parent or grandparent or somebody owns, right? But even, and I love that question because, so like, I had life insurance on my own since I was 21. right? And some people might say, well, what is somebody thinking about that at that time? Because no, you don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, we see this all the time on social media, young people, older people passing away. You never know. And you want to, instead of being proactive, instead of being reactive, we want to be proactive. And I love the question about how life insurance works, because this is another reason why in the Black and brown community, we have a tainted view of life insurance, because people have the wrong type of life insurance. Because I'm going to explain this to you. Some companies, let's just say a person applies for life insurance today, they die a year later. Some companies have a clause that says if you die within 2 years of getting a life insurance policy, they don't have to pay out the death claim. They only have to refund the premiums. So I even had one of my
clients. So what's that? Break that down. Let's turn the premiums and what does that mean?
Yeah, so the premium is like what you pay monthly. Okay, so let's just say somebody, and this is not with my company, but I've seen it with other companies. If a person were to die within 2 years, instead of paying, let's just say the person had $50,000 in life insurance. Okay, the company can say, well, you died within 2 years of getting this policy. We're not going to pay the death claim. We're just going to refund you what you paid into the policy over the last year. Okay, so premium is basically another word for what somebody pays monthly. So if you have a phone bill, you know what you pay monthly, right? It's the same thing for your life insurance plan.
Okay.
And I just have to stop right there because I said the cell phone. It's so crazy to me that everybody has insurance on their phone, which is a material object. It's a material object. We have insurance on our cars, again, a material object, but we don't have life insurance on our most valuable asset to our loved ones, which is ourselves, our life. So I just had to pause right there. And I even had one client, his mom passed away. She was not a client of mine. She was with another company. Mm-hmm. She died within 5 years of having a policy, and they refused to pay out the death claim. So that's why it's so important to know what you have and to have a professional be able to ask the right questions. Like when we go to the doctors, most times, even if we go to Google, we don't diagnose ourselves, right? We leave that up to a doctor. If we're having mental health issues, we might have a roundabout what's going on, but we leave the diagnosis up to the psychiatrist. It's the same thing with your finances. You got to partner with a financial advisor, a financial expert that can help you navigate your finances. Because I see it so often, and I'll get into this in a little bit because I don't want to give too much information right here. But it's so important to know, because there should not be a waiting period on your life insurance. If you pass away, you were honest on that application, the company should pay out. And that's what my company does. It doesn't matter if a person dies next week, next month, next year. As long as they were honest on the application, we're going to pay out that death claim. But that's how it works. You sit down with someone. They're going to ask you questions, because everybody can't get life insurance. It's based on health. It's based on other risk factors. So you're going to sit down with somebody. They're going to ask you questions, and then it goes through an underwriting process where the underwriters are going to determine if you can be approved for the coverage. If they say that you're approved, that's when that insurance kicks in. You're covered. You continue to pay monthly for that plan. So that's basically how it works. It's no different than any other subscription. It's like, it's funny. Like, we can understand everything else. Like, people pay for a Netflix subscription, pay for that monthly, but when it comes to life insurance, we just have to be willing to get the information and not push it off.
Yes, and I had a question about that. Why does health with a factor in someone get life insurance? Because I think from my perspective, for me being outsider, I think health should not matter status. What should not matter if the person get life insurance or not, even if it shouldn't be a determining factor. I think that's my perspective for being outside. But why someone's risk factors, health factors is a determinant of someone saying yes or no to life insurance?
Because life insurance is all about risk. It's based on mortality, okay? Now let's just say somebody has a terminal illness. They apply for life insurance today. Mm-hmm. They apply for $300,000 worth of coverage. They die in 2 months. They've only made 2 months worth of premium. Let's just say they was paying $50 a month, $50 one month, $50 the next month. That's a total of $100. But in 2 months of them having a policy, the company has to pay out $300,000. Is that fair or a smart move from the insurance company?
No, I mean, it's not a smart move.
No, and I think, again, because I know that you have a heart for the people, and I do too, so we kind of coming from it from that side, like, well, everybody should be able to get life insurance. Yeah, but an insurance company can't just be pumping out hundreds of thousands of dollars to people who are sickly, who literally can drop dead tomorrow or the next week. So life insurance is all about risk, and you bring up a great question. If you are somebody with health issues and you go to a company and they're just automatically, like, without even checking your medical records, they approve you, that's a red flag. Because that means that they do underwriting on the back end. You want a company that does underwriting on the front end, because if they do underwriting on the back end, that means that they don't underwrite the policy until you die. So if they find out that you had this at the time of the application, they can deny that claim. I sit down with so many people and they're like, because then I'll tell them, like, hey, listen, I don't think that we can approve you. And they're like, oh, well, XYZ said that they could. And I said, well, let's call up to that company. And we ask the questions, and the company says we underwrite on the back end. Even if we approve you now, if we find out that when you die, you had XYZ, they can deny that claim. So that's why it's so important for people to really know what they have. And I offer people complimentary policy reviews because I see it time and time again. And this brings up another point. If you only have life insurance at work, you need individual life insurance that you own, because if you leave that job, if you get fired or you quit, that life insurance does not come with you. Also, don't most people get sick before they die?
Yes.
Yes. With group work life policies, if you are on FMLA, disability, or laid off or laid up in the hospital, you are what's considered an inactive employee. An inactive employee has inactive benefits. So that job does not have to pay out those claims if you are an inactive employee. So that's why it's important for everybody to get life insurance outside of work that they own. Because, again, it's a part of a group policy. And I know somebody will say, well, I'm only paying like a couple dollars. Yeah. Do you really think they're going to pay out $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 to your family and you're only paying a couple dollars a month? Life insurance at work has a very, very little probability of ever paying out. And we see it all the time where people have worked at these jobs for years. Something happens and they do not pay out that death claim.
Wow. That's the fact. I have my own life insurance plus the one for my job, because I started my job almost 2 months ago. So it doesn't go with you, because you quit or you get laid off. So So you said you're an entrepreneur. What type of life insurance should full-time entrepreneurs get?
So everybody. So now again,
everybody, but I'm just telling, especially for those who work at a job.
But that's a great question. This is what I said I would touch on a lot later. There are 2 types of life insurance. Okay, the first kind is what's called cash value life insurance. That's what a lot of our Black and brown people have. That's what the insurance man knocked on our doors and sold us. That's the cash. That's the whole life, universal life, flexible premium, adjustable life, and variable life. These are cash value policies. But let me show you how this works. And I'm going to engage you a little bit, Levon. Now, let's just say in your cash value savings account, okay? Let's just say you're paying $50 a month into your life insurance. or I'm sorry, you're paying $100 a month into your life insurance. $50 goes towards your life insurance. The other 50 goes to your cash value savings account. After 2 years, just doing basic math, there should be $1,200 in your cash value savings account. How much do you think is actually going to be in there after those 2 years?
Probably half.
Okay, so it's actually going to be a zero balance.
Wow.
And here's why. Because for the first 2 to 4, I've even seen up to 6 years, there is no money accumulating in these plans because those companies use that money to pay their overhead and to pay their employees. Let's just say a couple years later, you have something in your house that breaks. Your hot water heater breaks, you need $500. And you remember, like, wait a second, I have this cash value savings included in my life insurance policy. What do you think the parameters should be around you getting that $500 from your life insurance policy? Do you think that you should have to borrow it? Should you have to pay it back? Should they take a while to give it to you? Like, what do you think the parameters should be?
You should get it right away because you've been investing in the company for 5 years, and this life happens. You need to get that money, so there should be no issue if you are paying it back to the business.
So let me tell you how this works. If you wanted that $500, they're going to charge you 5 to 8% interest. So you're going to have to pay that $500 back on top of plus 5 to 8% interest. Does that make any sense that you should have to pay to borrow your own money?
No.
Absolutely not. And then guess what? In the contract, and I actually read this to somebody the other day, if you want money from the policy, it can take them up to 6 months from the date of your written request to send it to you. Okay? Now, this is the last portion of these types of policies. Now, remember, you're paying into life insurance and you're paying into this cash value savings, right? How many things is that?
That's 2.
2. If you ever wanted all of the cash value, like let's just say it accumulated to like $20,000, you're like, I want to buy my first home. I want all of that money. Guess what happens to the life insurance?
If I took all the money out?
No, not the life insurance money, just the $20,000 in the cash value savings. What do you think is going to happen to your policy?
It's going to go down. And plus, you have to pay that back, right?
So it's actually going to cancel out the life insurance. If you take all of the cash value out, it's going to cancel out the life insurance. Okay, and here's another thing. This is going to really sting you up. Remember, how many things are you paying for?
Yeah, 2.
2. God forbid something happened to you. Your wife is your beneficiary. Who should get the life insurance money?
Your wife, the wife.
Who should get the cash value savings?
The beneficiary.
In these policies, the company is only going to pay out the life insurance death benefit. They're going to keep everything in a cash value savings account because they say that that's already a part of the death benefit. So for all of those years, you were paying for 2 things, but you only ever get to take advantage of one. So that's what when I sit down with people, I expose these types of things because no one is knocking on our doors educating us about this. Have you ever heard that before?
Never.
No, right? And if you knew that your life insurance policy worked like that, and there's a chance that it could, wouldn't you want to know that? Right. So that's what I do. I sit down with families and I educate them on how to get the proper life insurance while also saving and investing for their future. Because that's another thing. People in the Black and brown community, we either save our money in the bank or we put it under the mattress. You're only getting a less than 1% rate of return in the bank. It would take your money 72 years to double inside of the bank. So if you put $5,000 in there today, it would take 72 years for it to get to 10,000.
Wow.
I seen you sit back. That's crazy, right? So what I do is I teach people how to invest in what's called Roth IRA mutual fund accounts, where their money can actually grow and work for them. You will never be able to save your way to financial independence. That is only through investing in properly structured investment accounts.
Mm.
So just giving people the full picture, because again, and the reason like I told you, I was a therapist, but what really fired me up about this, I was once on the other end. Somebody came to my house and they showed me what I'm kind of telling you. And of course, we don't have that much time, so I'm kind of, condensing it. But they showed me this, and I was one of those people that had the wrong type of life insurance. I was being ripped off.
Mm.
So that's what fired me up, because I said, listen, if this is happening to me, who else in my community is this happening to? Who else in my family or friend group is this happening to? So that's when I kind of started on a crusade of really being able to educate anybody who will listen to this education, so that we can really, really, really get free.
So you say you was under another insurance policy when someone told you about what was going on. How did you get out of that other insurance policy? Did you have to pay a fee? Did you get your money back that you invested? How that process work?
So that's a great question. Remember, I told you that in that cash value type of policy, that's your whole life's universal life, flexible premium, adjustable life. That money doesn't, in the cash value, doesn't grow for the first 2 to 4, even up to 6 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was severely overpaying and underinsured. I did not have enough life insurance. I was paying $100 a month for 8 years. $100 a month for 8 years. I'm doing it on my calculator. That's $9,600 I paid into that policy. When I canceled it, guess how much they sent me?
1,000 or none?
They sent me $800.
What? That's like 9, 6, 12. That's like that's 1/12 of what you pay, because 9,600, you did 800. That was 12 months. Wow.
So literally, I put in almost $10,000 into this policy. They send me $800 after almost a decade. So this is what I show people when I sit down with people and they have life insurance. I literally comb through the policy with them so that they can see what they have, because most people, 70% of people that have life insurance have the type of policy that I'm telling you about. So I sit down with them and I show them a better option, so that they, yes, can have life insurance, right? But I teach people how to be self-insured. Because let me ask you a question. God forbid you were 90 years old, you pass away, but you have $1 million in cash sitting somewhere, right?
Mm-hmm.
Would you still need life insurance at that time if you had $1 million sitting somewhere?
Well, I probably don't need it, because if I have $1 million in the bank, I mean,
exactly, because you would be self-insured. Your family can take $15,000, $20,000 of that, and they would still be good for the rest of their life as long as they invested that money properly.
Right.
Most people need life insurance because they have no money. They can't come up with that type of money on the spot. So I show people how to buy wealth with life insurance until they accumulate the wealth through investing. I show people how to be self-insured. You don't need life insurance for your whole life. You only need it until you can become self-insured and wealthy on your own.
Wow. Okay. Wow, this is really, really good. I know we're short time, but we got this value providing not an insight to me that was new to me, because I now you gave me some ideas how to incorporate this conversation to our young people, especially. I was thinking about like high school seniors, and seeing that you can go in there, teach them about life insurance, getting life insurance while they high school seniors, you know, as they about to go to the next phase of their life and not wait till 21. They don't have it. They at least have something, you know what I mean? Just start over with then teach them pad me something short. That could be that's something that I kind of envision like just from this conversation because when I was 18 years old, I didn't have a conversation about that stuff. I had zero conversation about life insurance
Right.
or health insurance, none of that stuff. You know, but that's a great way to help break again generational gap in wealth. And like I said, I did. I know you sent me the video a while back. I finally saw it like 3 months later, but it was definitely intriguing. You know, I definitely want to look at my insurance policy, see if this is right, you know, or go the direction because, like I said, life can happen at any moment, and I'll make sure that my wife gets what she needs. God forbid I go away, you know. So I'll make sure I can end it now or keep with it, and then not wait till years later. You know, means be prepared now. So this has definitely been a very, very enlightening conversation that our people need to know about, need to know, be
Yes.
aware of, and you know, finances is definitely a hard subject. It's like kind of like religion. It's going to be some debates, you know, conversation and accountability. But you know, like I said, we had to start looking at ourselves about envisioning if life happens or is the family going to be covered? You know what I mean for the next 5, 10 years, and then invest the money property, like you say, our IRA, things like that. But we are definitely going to have you back on. Um, Maybe the springtime, maybe April when it's like tax season. So that'd be a good, you know, make it. I know out March is kind of big, but April, because I think it has to be a part two. It has to be a part two, especially we about our people and being uplifted, being evolved, and being elevated to the next level. Um, so let me ask you, what is next for you?
Honestly, I'm just going to be continuously, getting this education out to the masses. I'm very passionate about this.
Hmm.
And I know that it's going to take a lot of seed planting. It's not going to happen overnight. But our people need this conversation. Like, we have too much buying power. The black wealth, is supposed to drop significantly, but what I want to share before we end, the black wealth is supposed to drop to zero, but we are in the biggest wealth transfer in all of American history. So if we're in a not us, but in America, we're in the biggest wealth transfer in history, but our wealth is supposed to drop to zero. What does that say? That means that it's happening, but it's happening without us. So
Mm,
people are using the edge, because that's another thing. We can look at podcasts, we can look at videos all we want, but knowledge means nothing if it's not applied. So I'm going to talk to anybody that listens, and it's very important, yes, for our young people, but we really got to get into the ears of the parents and the grandparents, because the children are only going to do what they see modeled. So we really got to get into these communities, talk to people, and I'm not letting up, so I'm looking to partner with people, for people that want to help get licensed, get this education out. Hey, join the crusade. But also people that just maybe want to take advantage of the education and the services. I'm here to do that too. I think the message has been misconstrued that obtaining wealth has to be expensive, and it really does not. Literally able to help people get $1 million policies at the cost of less than a dinner date.
mm.
You know what I'm saying? So it's just about being consistent and applying the knowledge. So that's the path that I'm on, and I'm willing to partner with and help anybody that's willing to listen and do the work.
Yes, I definitely agree with you. Like I said earlier, we are definitely going to partner up with the get these parents involved and get these parents the knowledge that they need to know now because I think that's so important for the children that's going to middle school and to have their parents know to be introduced to this concept, to get this shit, the children thinking and change their mindset, because I think it's so important to have people like you on the ground to speak to his parents now while their children are about to go to middle school. Because, like you said, children see what their parents do. So if we
Yep.
get them to 10, 11 years old, they they follow your path. By the time they're 18, they already know that, okay, my mom and dad did this. Now I can join them because I can trust this policy, just to make sure now, because my parents followed it, they had a different mindset and things like that. So we're gonna definitely talk outside this, because we already got some things in place that we're gonna get our parents to have conversations with
Absolutely.
what's going on, so they can be aware of what's going on, be introduced and aware about how this, how what they not been taught or been, what you said, misconstrued.
Yes.
So
Thank you
like,
so much for having me on. If anybody wants to connect, I can be reached on Facebook, Apris Walker, APRIS, last name WALKER. Also on Instagram at Apris Walker. And again, like I said, would love to have the conversation with anybody that's looking to really do the work and change their trajectory of their family's financial tree.
yes, indeed. Apris, thank you so much for being part of the show. We're going to set up part two, because we get more in depth about this, because hopefully we have some sessions with the parents by then, and then how we can get our parents to change their mindsets about wealth and health insurance. I'm like life insurance, life insurance. Sorry. Yeah. So thank you so much for being part of this. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right, have a good one.
You too.